Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking at, well, a really intense story that someone shared on Reddit. It's all about a 13-year plan for revenge.
It's quite something. A very personal account, deeply rooted in family trauma and loss. It really shows how early experiences, especially neglect, can, echo through someone's life.
Yeah, definitely. The person telling the story just calls themselves me, so we'll stick with that. And it all revolves around this incredibly broken relationship with their mother, starts way back in childhood, and then these awful tragedies involving siblings just make everything worse.
And me does give a heads up in the post, right? Saying there are time jumps, maybe some things left unsaid because it's such a long story.
Exactly. So we're not trying to fill in every single gap, but really understand the main events, what drove this person over those 13 years.
And it's helpful to remember the key people involved. Me calls them the cast of characters. So there's me, the narrator.
Right. Then the younger brother, Mark, a half-brother, Sam, and a half-sister, Alicia, and of course, the mother.
And these aren't their real names, obviously. There are pseudonyms used in the post. It's a story marked by loss, really, and how families can just fall apart.
Okay, so let's get into the backstory. It's pretty long, but crucial. Chapter 1 is early childhood. This is around when the younger brother, Mark, is born.
And me mentions feeling jealous at first, which, is pretty normal for a kid.
Totally. But then, apparently influenced by the grandparents, me really tries to be a good older sibling, helping out, being caring towards Mark.
It's interesting that early influence of the grandparents. It
Yeah.
seems like they were trying to foster some kindness there.
Yeah, which makes what happens next even starker. The mother, according to me, just rejects them, calls them a demonic hell spawn.
Wow.
Yeah, and sends them to live with the grandparents. The post really highlights how different this was from the attention the mother was giving the new baby, Mark. Just complete rejection versus focus.
That kind of early abandonment, being labeled like that and sent away,
Yeah,
that's a deep wound. You can see how that would set the stage for, well, everything else.
for sure. So then we jump forward to the teenage years. Chapter 2. Now there are two half-siblings, Sam and Alicia, and stepfathers in the picture.
And this is where another layer of trauma comes in, physical abuse from a stepfather.
Right, and the post says it often happened when me was just being themselves, maybe asking questions, showing individuality. And the mother, she was there, she saw it.
And did nothing.
Nothing. And me specifically points to this, calls it mom's mistake 1, the first thing that sparked that desire for revenge.
It's not just the abuse itself, but the mother's inaction, her complicity almost. That's a profound betrayal.
The post also talks about chores. Apparently, the mother and stepfather just wouldn't do basic house stuff.
So they made the kids do it.
Yeah, even dangerous things. Like, me mentions cleaning gutters on the roof when they were only 10 or 11, just complete neglect of their safety.
That paints a picture of a really chaotic, unsafe home life, doesn't it?
Oh.
Where the adults just weren't prioritizing the kids' well-being at all.
Not at all. Which leads us into Chapter 3, the death of Alicia. This is just heartbreaking.
Oh.
Mead describes this time when they and Mark, still kids themselves, remember we're supposed to be watching 2-year-old Alicia?
While the adults were?
What? Stepfather playing video games, mother asleep, completely disengaged?
Oh no. You could see where this is going.
They couldn't find Alicia. Frantic search, and then they found her in the pool.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
The post describes the aftermath, the guilt me and Mark felt. Even though the grandparents apparently tried to tell them it wasn't their fault, it's labeled mom's mistake too.
The layers of trauma there. Losing a sister, feeling responsible, and knowing it happened because the adults weren't paying attention.
Okay.
And then CPS gets involved.
Yeah, CPS, the father apparently got custody for a bit, but then the grandparents stepped in and somehow the mother got custody back. It's complex.
Very complex and deeply tragic.
Then comes Chapter 4, the death of Mark, and the narrator says, point blank, this was the final straw.
Okay, so what happens here?
Me is 18, about to graduate high school. Mark is 15. He'd broken his finger, was on strong painkillers.
Prescription meds.
Right. And the mother was explicitly responsible for giving him the medication, monitoring it.
A clear duty of care.
But she failed. The story recounts the grandfather picking me up from school, the look on his face, getting home to see paramedics, a body bag. Mark had overdosed.
Oh my God, because she wasn't managing the medication properly. Negligence.
Exactly. And that was it, the breaking point. Me, says the family, just shattered. Sam, the half-brother, was taken by CPS, never seen again, apparently.
And the mother.
Legally barred from raising kids ever again, and for me, this is when the vow for revenge becomes absolute, set in stone. You feel that shift, that hardening.
You really do. After losing 2 siblings due to what the narrator sees as the mother's direct failures, you can understand, even if it's dark, where that intense need for revenge comes from.
So that brings us to the part titled Revenge Time. Chapter 5 is called The First Revenge Pain in Prison.
Okay, so how does it start?
Well, Me talks about being close to the grandfather and feeling like the mother was just using his kindness after everything that happened.
Exploiting the situation.
And the first attempts at revenge sound kind of small, like challenging the mother in front of the grandparents, trying to expose her, I guess.
Testing the waters, maybe?
Then things shift. The mother gets injured at work, herniated discs, serious back pain, chronic pain.
Right. And the stepfather?
He gets arrested, doctor shopping, trying to get multiple prescriptions. He goes to prison, and the mother starts divorce proceedings.
So, a lot happening all at once.
Yeah. And Me sees an opening. The Post is very open about this. They started hiding the mother's pain medication, throwing it away, deliberately making her suffer.
Wow, that's a definite escalation. Actively causing physical pain.
It is. And the chapter ends with the mother getting a DUI, driving under the influence, likely linked to the pain meds situation,
Yeah.
and she gets 6 months in jail.
And the narrator's reaction.
Satisfaction. Admits feeling satisfied and using that jail time to think about more revenge.
It's pretty chilling, isn't it? That level of cold satisfaction at someone else's suffering, even given the history, it shows how deep the anger runs.
Deeply. Okay, chapter 6. The second revenge, the couch. This is after the mother gets out of jail. She moves in with Me and the grandparents.
Right, so what happens now?
This time it's more psychological and physical discomfort. Me moves all the mother's stuff into storage, takes over her bedroom, turns the old living space into a gaming room.
So where does the mother sleep?
On an old, uncomfortable couch. And remember, she has severe back problems.
So deliberately making her physically miserable and displacing her within the home, asserting control.
Exactly. Me describes finding satisfaction in her discomfort. It's petty, maybe, but clearly targeted.
Passive-aggressive almost, but with a real physical consequence.
Then chapter 7, the third revenge, the anonymous tip. They'd moved back to the old family house by this point. Mother's back is still bad, maybe worse.
And she's still needing pain medication.
Yes. And she convinces the grandparents, mostly the grandmother, it seems, to get her drugs illegally. Prescription drugs, but obtained unlawfully.
Oh boy. Dragging the grandparents into illegal activity, that's not...
No. And Me, worried the grandparents might get caught, actually calls in an anonymous tip to the police.
Did it work?
No, nothing came of it. But Me also mentions still doing the old thing, hiding the mother's legal medication sometimes, just continuing that pattern.
So the revenge is ongoing, simmering. Even the attempt to protect the grandparents is framed within this conflict.
Right. Which brings us to the final chapter in the revenge section. Chapter 8, the final revenge, you will die alone.
This sounds like the climax.
It really does. We're now 13 years after Mark's death. Me is 31. The grandfather has recently passed away.
Okay, so the dynamic shifts again.
Yeah. And Me has saved money, got some inheritance. They're more independent now.
Financially and emotionally, perhaps?
Seems like it. So Me is visiting the grandmother. And the mother is there, and the mother just lays it out. She expects Me to take care of her when the grandmother goes into a retirement home.
Wow. After everything, that takes some nerve.
That seems to have been the trigger for the final confrontation. Me just unloads.
What does they say?
The Post quotes it directly. A flat refusal to provide care, saying the mother destroyed their life, caused the deaths of Mark and Alicia, telling her she'll die alone.
Just brutal honesty, or
What?
brutality, depending on how you see it.
Yeah, and saying, I never loved you, and that she'll never be part of their future life. No grandchildren, no wedding, nothing. Cut off completely.
How did the mother and grandmother react?
Grandmother shocked, mother crying. But Me describes this feeling of finality, ultimate revenge achieved.
Like a weight lifted, perhaps, but
Oh.
in a very destructive way.
The plan then was immediate. Get the grandmother into the retirement home before the mother could interfere, and then Me was moving away to a new state with their girlfriend. A clean break.
Closing that chapter entirely. Yeah. Physically removing themselves.
Yeah. And the very last thought in the Post is actually quite sad. Me reflects on how important it is to cherish your siblings.
Coming from someone who lost both of theirs in such tragic ways, that hits hard, doesn't it? Even after all the anger and revenge, the core pain is still about that loss.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder underneath all the darkness.
What a story. It's just
Mhm.
so much pain, so much anger playing out over such a long time.
It really is an incredibly intense journey we've just unpacked. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It definitely does. About family, trauma, what drives people to extremes. It forces you to think about justice versus revenge, and if forgiveness is even possible in situations like this. There are no easy takeaways here.
No, not at all. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a very raw and personal story. It's a stark look at how deep the wounds of family can go.
And maybe it prompts us all to think a little about our own connections, and the impact we have on each other.
It's a sobering thought to end on. In situations of profound hurt, what path truly leads to healing, if any? Something to consider.